We are here again. We are here again. Hi, it's your girl Olivia Arims again. And today I will be sharing yet another story that is very significant in my experience with God so far. But before I get into the story, I'd like to clarify that all of these events I am recounting are not just for the sake of storytelling, are not just for the sake of gisting and putting content on YouTube. Very far from it. I'm doing this because I see that in my life I've had significant experiences that point to God's faithfulness, significant experiences that point to the fact that you truly can ask God to come in for you at any point. So long as you need Him, so long as you dare to ask Him, He will come through for you. And also, to because of the way that I've come to know God, I know that God is a God of patterns. And what this means is that what He has done in the life of one person, He is able to replicate the same in the lives of others. So, for those of you who would listen to this, especially people who are in school right now, undergoing one sort of program or the other, you'll find principles here that if you dare to reapply, it will provide the same sort of result or even better for you. This is where I'm sharing the story. And so in my previous video, where I had talked about the encounter and the calling, I'd given snippets about my experience in the university. Within that event is a larger story. And so I'll just go back to it and give a summarized version. So yes, here goes. I had got into Uniben sometime in 2013, but I resumed officially 2014. I had gained admission to study philosophy in the University of Benin, and I was excited largely about the fact that I was going to be a university girl straight out of secondary school. Yes, my admission was immediately after secondary school, so I was excited to be leaving home. It was freedom. I grew up always at home, so the university life was one that I'd been looking forward to. Studying philosophy was not supposed to be the end plan. The original plan with my folks and with everyone was that I was going to switch to law midway. And in truth, I probably would have, but things changed along the way. First of all, which was the most revolutionary bit of my life. I had lost my mom. And so I was dealing with grief. I found that I was largely disillusioned. I had lost motivation for so many things. And that's when I had to come to terms to say that, Olivia, do you really want to study law? I wasn't that excited about it. If it were up to me, I'd have switched to ENL, English and Literature. But I remember then my brother being very opposed to it. He thought that I shouldn't study English and Literature. So I just stayed where I was, stayed in my philosophy. Because at that time, I just wanted to graduate and get out of school. However, philosophy wasn't easy. It didn't help that the course largely seemed abstract because prior to university, there was nothing we did that was about philosophy. There was nothing we did that was about critical reasoning, that was about epistemology, that was about metaphysics. And so every time I was looking at my text and course notes, what is metaphysics? What is all of this? What's this logic? What's all this symbolic logic? It was abstract and I was struggling with it. I was sincerely struggling through it. And I was not excited. I just wanted to get out of school. I was hurt. I was grieving. I just wanted to get out of school. The school just felt like a necessary evil at the time. It felt like something that I was forced to do. And that was not the right mental posturing. So I was struggling through school. And by 300 level, I wasn't sure at all what I would be graduating with. In truth, it looked like a tutu. But I didn't want a tutu. I had left secondary school as an outstanding performer. I knew that coming out with a tutu would disappoint a lot of persons. For one, it would have affected my credibility to tell my younger siblings that they should be excellent, that they should put in the hard work and come out as high flyers. I also knew that somewhere my secondary school teachers were rooting for me. They were hoping that regardless of everything that had happened, I was still going to turn out well. I was going to keep up with the good work. I was head girl. I was best graduating art student. So there were a lot of expectations. I also had to be sincere with myself that I didn't have other kinds of challenges that maybe certain other people had been in a public university. my house rent was fully paid for. My school fees always came on time. I didn't lack feeding money. My allowances would always come in so far as I dared to ask. I had supportive family. And so I would sit down and say, Olivia, what excuse do you have? You have only one mission in the school, to study. But even then, it wasn't easy. I remember that there were times I'd go to the library, I would study. John Harris was my home. I would study all of the abstract things. And sometimes you'd go into the exam hall and you blank out. You remember one thing and you don't know how to connect it to the rest because it's really quite abstract. So I knew I needed the grace of God. So I went to God with all of these things sincerely, told God how abstract all of this felt for me, told God how I knew that I could do more, I could be more, but even then I was struggling. I was struggling to understand. I was struggling to find the motivation. And so I asked for his help. And while I asked for his help, I was also doing my part. I would still study. I would still go to the library every time. I also tried to attend classes. And so final year came. Final year, I was truly busy. I had my projects to write, and I'd given myself a personal goal that I was going to finish my project before exams started so that I could focus on studying for exams. I was also co-chairing my final year brethren committee. I had dual engagement in church, serving my assistant pastor's wife, serving in the Youth Alive Church, being a Christian myself, trying to build my spiritual life myself. There were a lot of things that I was juggling. And in the past, whenever I got to that situation, especially during exam period, forget this, I will not go to church on Sunday. I won't even go on Wednesday. But in that particular time, in final year, I thank God for his mercies. I decided that I was trusting God to see me through, that this was no longer up to me, that if it were up to me, I would really just graduate ordinary. And I had that divine wisdom to trust God through it all, to not attempt to rely on my strength. So I would go to church regardless. I would go to church. I would shut my books, leave everything, go to church on Sunday, go to church on Wednesdays as much as I could when I didn't have classes. And I will attend the meetings that I needed to do. And on the day that I wrote my last paper, I knew that it was all over. Rather than rejoice, the culture then was, if you had friends, they would come around, they'll pour water on you. You'd probably be wearing your white shirt. People would come with markers, write things on it. I wasn't cut out for that. I didn't. It was life and destiny for me. So I had called a friend. I had told him my exam hall, told him to be waiting for me out there, that I wanted to go to church and I needed him to help me, because if they poured water on me, I wouldn't be able to come out moving around the streets going into church with water. So I told him to stay outside, and he waited for me, even though my younger friends and classmates had planned an ambush. So I got in, went to church, went into the teens church, my church back then, Living Faith Church, Ubawo. I went into the teens church because the main church was occupied at the time. If I remember correctly, choir rehearsals or some sort of rehearsals were going on there. So I'd gone into the teens church, face flat on the ground, thanking God for 4 years. Till date, I'm still thankful for those 4 years, because I had fears. I didn't know that I would graduate. I was so scared. I was scared throughout school. I was hurt throughout school. I was dealing with grief. But I carried all of it, moving on day by day. Nobody knew what I was going through. You know, I had a lot of fears. I wondered what my mom's battles were. I had a lot of, will the evil people come and snatch me and cause me to be a dropout? So many things. So having gone through 100 level, 200 level, 300 level, I had written my final papers, and as far as I knew, I had no problems. I was thankful. I went with a heart of gratitude. I thanked God. And then I also told God that I didn't want unfortunate situations, no missing scripts. I will not be marked down. I will not be victimized. All my 4 credits load will come out with good grades. And I begged God that I had done the very best that I could, and I had leaned on him, so he should help my grades. I told him that I didn't want it to. So wherever I could find favor, let the favor speak for me. And to the glory of God, I graduated with a 2-1. And yes, it was the following month that I had gone for the International Youth Alive Convention. I had the encounter with God, where God had made covenants, and I had in turn made a covenant with him. All of those stories. And so the message that I have here today is, don't try to rely on your strength, especially for students. Don't try to rely on your strength. Do not think that you can do everything by your own power. Wherever you find that you're struggling with whatever course, don't give up on it. Because trust me, your life would be a lot easier for the people that God will bring your way to help you if you had something to show them. I know there are a lot of people today who are encountering some challenges because they couldn't complete their education. Not because they didn't have the money, but because of difficulties that they could have relied on God for. And so the message for you today is you have God as your father. Rely on him. It's like having a call your friend option. And rather than call your friend, you let yourself feel a question that you had a dependable person who could come through for you. And so I'm praying today that you would remember the God who is your father, that when you encounter difficulties in school or even in anything that you're going through, you can go to God. He'll help you with understanding where you're struggling. He'll help you overcome challenges where you find them. Could it be difficult lecturers? Let me even tell you something. In starting my project, I struggled with chapter one. I had made up my mind to start my project during the holidays. 1 month into resumption, I still not written chapter one until I went to God and I begged him. I said, God, please help me. And somehow, everything, the ideas, the books, the resources, and I was able to start. God is still that God today. Don't shortchange yourself. Use the help that you have. Use the mercies of God. This is my message for you today. God did the same thing for me. Saw me through school, helped me with my project, helped me with graduating with the grade that I wanted to graduate with, helped me in charting the course of my life entirely. And he's still doing that for me today. I'm sharing all of these stories, not because I have arrived at my story is not over. It is just starting. And I know that most people usually will be sharing the story, at the end of their journey, when they've attained all of the successes. But I'm telling my story as I go every day. I am still a work in progress. God is still doing a lot for me. There is still a lot of places that he wants to take me to. But that doesn't mean I won't share the victories of yesterday. That doesn't mean I cannot carry you along on how God is helping me. And this is why I'm doing it. I hope this has blessed you. You can share your stories with me. I'd like to know, what did you do on the day that you signed out of school? Was it all partying for you? Did you go learn a skill? Did you go sit at home waiting for your NYC call-up letter? Let's discuss it. Thank you until I come your way again. Bye.